Rugby numbers are down in some areas here in New Zealand, folks. The health of the game remains a bit of a question. Some areas are up. There are certainly some areas of good news. We'll go through some numbers that have been released by New Zealand Rugby, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on the health of the game. Most concerningly was the state of the junior boys game, which has seen a decrease by 2% in participation numbers. That's a concern because that's where your future All Blacks come from. Boys playing rugby who will grow up to be men playing rugby, as I said. That's your Mitre 10 Cup, NPC. It's not been the Mitre 10 Cup for a couple of years, Mark. That's your NPC talent. That's your Super Rugby talent. That's your All Blacks. That's your talent pool that you've got to draw from. So those numbers are down. And the overall numbers are up. But the junior boys numbers are down. Like the girls numbers are up a whopping 20%. Girls and women's numbers. So the women's state of the game is in a pretty healthy place. Because of the increase in women's numbers, the overall participation numbers for rugby in New Zealand have gone up. But, like I said, the boys' numbers are down. Referee numbers are up by like 8%. People registering to be referees, that's great, because how many of us sit here on the couch moaning about refereeing calls when, to be fair, a lot of us haven't read the rule books, laws in a wee while. Good to see more people registering to be refs. And coaches as well. So I think it was a 4% increase in coaches, 8% increase in refs. So this is all pretty good news. But I go back to the fact that the boys' numbers being down is not great. Now, you might think, man, league, Warriors are doing really well. Is league where we're losing a lot of the boys? I don't think so. Because there was news out last year about Auckland Rugby League's numbers being down like 10% across the last, was it 4 years or so? Auckland Rugby League's been bleeding players as well. I think a lot of it's parents opting to send their kids to other sports. And the main rival for rugby union here in New Zealand is not league, it's basketball. Basketball's numbers in New Zealand are incredible. Like, if you look at the trend across the last like 20 odd years, basketball's numbers are always steadily increasing, whereas rugby's steadily decreasing. And rugby is not alone. Like cricket's going down, netball's going down, hockey, which is field hockey here in New Zealand, is going down. Like all the traditional sports tend to be decreasing. Basketball is one of the few ones bucking the trend. Like if you look at New Zealand secondary schools, overall sports participation numbers, they're down like, I think 10%. Like more than half the students used to play a sport 20 years ago, whereas now less than half. Like it's 40-something% of kids participate in sports during their high school years. So like I said, a lot of the sports are down. Basketball is up behind netball. It's the most played sport at secondary schools here in New Zealand. So football's down, cricket's down, hockey's down, rugby's down, but basketball continues to be up. That's the, I guess, less kind of physical nature of the game. Maybe a little bit easier on the parents. It's probably a little bit easier to organise with basketball courts rather than full rugby pitches, I would imagine. I don't know. I've never organised a basketball game, so I don't know. But, yeah, basketball numbers are doing pretty well. And there's the appeal of, like, NBA scholarships at American universities and more money than you could hope to get in the rugby career, basically, I would imagine. But, yeah, boys' numbers are down. I can speak a little bit to my son's experience because he's played rugby the last 3 years. And first couple of years were ripper, like tag rugby. The last year has been tackle. And it's a weird one when I talk to other parents who've got kids who play football or soccer. Like kids who are the same age as my son. They play games at their local football club. And they don't have to travel because the football club will have like, I don't know, 10 teams at that age grade level. I don't know, I'm just pulling that number out of my butt. But, out of the air. So yeah, they just like team 1 plays team 2, team 3 plays team 4, and then they rotate. Whereas at my son's rugby club, we have to travel. There's only ever been 2 teams at his grade for tag rugby. So we might play the other team at our club once, but we always have to travel. We have to travel to other neighbouring clubs around the neighbourhood. And since he started playing tackle this year, there's only 1 team. Like the numbers have not necessarily dropped off, but they divide the team by weight grade. So like the heavy kids and the light kids. So they split off. And then some kids continue to play tag. So you're splitting into 3 different grades. So to get a game, man, I've had to drive halfway across Auckland. Like literally 20, 30, 40-minute drives to get them a game. Whereas the football kids just go to their local football club and play. So I don't know if that's a factor. But yeah, it's a long drive. It's a long drive to get a game. And what that also means is, like at my son's rugby club, because there's only one team in his weight grade, you've got kids at every end of the spectrum of talent. You've got the kids who look bloody incredible and literally make, like if I was keeping stats on the tackles, there'd be like 3 kids in my son's team who make 90% of the tackles. And then there's other kids who, would probably benefit from playing kids who weren't quite that good. So yeah, you've got top-end talent and lower-end talent all in the same team. So there tends to be a few kids that kind of dominate the game, which is great for the kids who dominate the game, but maybe less so for the other kids. So yeah, I don't know. When I played sports as a kid, they were generally graded. Like you went into the B team, you go into the A team, you go into the C team, you know what I mean? Just because it's usually more fun playing with kids of your own ability. But then again, maybe if you play with the good kids, it raises your game. I don't know. But yeah, sporting numbers, the junior boys one is the main one that is a concern, like I said. Just because, sporting numbers are down generally, apart from basketball. But yeah, there's a multitude of reasons why people aren't playing. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's the safety. I should say they are doing reduced tackle height already in New Zealand here in 2023. And they're going to kind of continue with that project in 2024. So you got to tackle low. They've been measuring, like at senior men's rugby, they said like 90% of the tackles were below the sternum. They're trying to increase the offloading game. They want the game to be more attractive. They want it to be safer. And apparently, from what New Zealand Rugby tells you, which you obviously they've got a vested interest in telling you good news. So they said that the feedback on the tackle height thing has generally been really good. So yeah, we'll see if that translates into any increase in the junior boys numbers. They have been seemingly, I think, down kind of year on year. So we'll see if that changes or not. The women's numbers are incredibly encouraging. The coach and referee numbers, it's very encouraging as well. I guess if there's so many more women's players, you need more coaches and refs. So that they didn't break the coaches and refs down by kind of gender. But yeah, it's an interesting one to see. But yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of World Rugby's numbers. Yeah, as I said, always have to take them with a bit of a grain of salt. And what kind of other sports in other countries are doing to get their numbers up. But certainly, yeah, it's going to be one to watch with interest as to the future of the game. If you want to see some other stuff like me climbing some stairs, getting real sweaty, taking a luge over in China, 2 Cents on Tour, that's up there. That was an interesting trip. Talked to some people while I was with my children. Although my children didn't appear because I kind of buggered off and did my own thing, which was maybe not A1 parenting. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts on this situation. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.